Well, have you taken a close look at your life lately? I know some of you have because you're in class with me. But it was Socrates who stated that an unexamined life is not worth living. Now, our series this month, we're starting a brand new series for September, is called Unlocking the Secrets of Mind Body. Our reference book is, as you heard from Victoria, Mind Body Secrets, and it's available at the front desk. We've got some copies left, and we're going to be exploring the mind, body, spirit trinity that is us. That's what we're going to be talking about all month. Today, I'm going to talk about mind as it relates, of course, to the science of mind teaching. And Holmes understood this connection between the mind and the body. And he even wrote a chapter in the text titled Mind. So he really had it dialed in, right? Now, we teach a lot about the power of mind in our teaching and the healing of the body through the power of the mind. It's one of our belief statements. We have those, 10 belief statements that we have. And he says, we believe in the healing of the sick and the control of conditions through the power of this mind. That's a bold statement, isn't it? For a belief that this organization has adopted for nearly 100 years. We believe in the healing of the sick and the control of conditions through the power of our minds. Now, one of the misconceptions about spiritual mind treatment, which is the affirmative prayer that we teach, is that we're asking God to do something for us. And what we're actually doing is affirming the good or the ask or the thing or whatever the condition is that we're seeking to change. We're affirming that that is already ours. And we're convincing our mind of that fact. We're not asking and begging and waiting for something to happen. The mind is a powerful manifester because it's done as we believe. It's done as we believe. We're beings of choice, so we get to choose how things are going to happen. It's done as we believe. And it's up to us whether those beliefs are negative and limiting or whether they're empowering, inspiring, uplifting. Anybody catch yourself arguing for your limitations? It happens all the time because we're so conditioned in the world of effects around us about how things are. They just are that way. And we forget we live in a field of infinite possibilities where that's not necessarily true. Our book of the month discusses this mind-body connection from scientific, psychological, and spiritual respects. She looks at all three of those categories, and you could almost say it's a little bit of a modern interpretation, if you will, of the science of mind, because that's how Ernest discusses the science of mind in the text. He brings in psychology, psychological knowledge of his day. He brings in the spiritual from many of the world's teaching, sacred books. And he brings in the science as he understood it, which is very relative today, if you've noticed. Very relative. Now, one of the questions that our author asks in this book, she says, what do you envision for your future? What do you envision for your future? Are you envisioning a healthy body, healthy finances, healthy relationships, a healthy experience for you, meaning wholeness of your body? I think most of us do. As long as we can stay out of the fear, right? Stay out of futurizing and, oh my gosh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Oh my. As long as we can stay out of that. And that's one of those limiting beliefs, isn't it? Well, because this happened and that happened, this is going to happen and it's going to be this way. I just know it is. In reality, we don't know that, do we? We don't know that. Life changes in an instant, does it not? One of the principles of the science of mind that we've talked about recently is visualization, visioning, that we envision this future. We see it. We live it. We become it. We become so comfortable in it, in our imagination, in our mind, in our vision, that when it manifests, it feels so comfortable to us to be there. We're not surprised by it. It's just expected, right? Because we have envisioned it so often that it's ours. We own it, so to speak. This is also known as the law of attraction. There's also a chapter in the text entitled The Law of Attraction. Now, many heard of the law of attraction when it first came out in The Secret. New material, right? No. Old material. Old material. Abraham Hicks. Esther does a great job of explaining the law of attraction. Current, modern day, ancient law, ancient teaching. Ernest wrote about it in 1926, 1938. It wasn't new to him either. This is ancient teaching. It's universal law that we study. Another question that Dr. Olson, the author of our book, asks is, can I heal only from the outside in? Can I heal only from the outside in? My immediate response was no. But then I went deeper. It's like, okay, let's see if that's true. Think about a cut. You cut yourself, paper cut. Let's make it easy. Paper cut, glass cut, whatever. Immediately, our bodies begin bringing the cells there to stop the bleeding, right? Immediately, that starts happening. And then the cells begin to work to seal the wound, and a scab will form to protect it while those cells continue to heal from the inside out, right? And then the scab goes away and you might have a little scar there. The body has healed itself from the inside out, right? Sure, we may have put some antibiotic or something, the cream or something on there to help it along. But those are tools. The body heals itself. Let's say we have a surgery and we cut open and they go in and they move things around or they take something out. The surgeon does a brilliant job. Did the surgeon heal us? No. The body heals itself. The surgeon is a tool of the infinite. It is the infinite intelligence flowing through the surgeon with the intelligence that they have to come forward and to be used by spirit for that healing work, to give the body the support it needs to heal from the inside out. From the inside out. Y'all know I like to read, and I've discovered Audible, which is my driving reading, because my car's not self-driving yet. So I'm listening to, in addition to reading our book, You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if anybody's ever read that book. He presents a lot of evidence in there about the mind's impact on the body's health and illness, including his own story, which is magnificent. So it's interesting that the timing of that study and this study coming together, and two different, not different, the same perspectives in two different voices. Now, our book of the month, she suggests that we face some obstacles to achieving our health and healing goals. And she calls it this clash between our ancestrally wired brain, and today's environment. You may know this as the limbic or the reptilian brain or lizard brain, right? We've heard it called that. You may know it as that. She calls it the ancestrally wired brain. Sounds like a doctor, right? It's wired for surviving rather than thriving, and can in fact limit us in our thriving today in areas of our lives. Anybody ever sabotaged yourself and gone, what the heck? Well, why did I do that? That's what's kicking in. The second obstacle she talks about is that we seek power from outside of ourselves. Power from outside of ourselves to heal, to fix, to save us. Something external. And the third obstacle she says we face is the motivation behind our goal. Are we really motivated, or would it be nice? She says the main thing we need to do is we need to assess where we are, where we want to go, and find our inner reason for going there. A lot of times we're here, we really want to be there. That's really what I want to do. That's really where I want to be. That's the life for me. That's a big cliff I've got to cross to get there. I'm pretty comfortable over here. I really want to be over there. It's pretty comfortable over here, right? We go through that until we can find that inner motivation to traverse that cliff, that gully, to get to where we want to be. What is the inner motivation? What is the value within me that aligns with that I want? What is the value, the core value in me that is going to motivate me from the inside out to take those steps and go across to get to where I want to be? She gives an example of a patient. She gives a lot of examples of patients in her book, and this one sort of goes with this. And a patient came to her, and her blood pressure had gone way up, dangerously high, and her cholesterol was dangerously high. And the woman was also overweight. And the doctors told her that she needed to lose weight and that she would need to go on medication, that she would have to stay on for the rest of her life. Well, she didn't like that very much, and she'd been trying for the past year to lose weight and had not been successful. So she felt really, really, really bad when she left the doctor's office, right? So she had lunch with a friend, and the friend walks in, and she's trim and thin and has lost all this weight. And she goes, "My gosh, what happened? How did you do that?" She said, "Well, about a year ago, my son told me he's getting married next month. And I realized that all those wedding photos, those forever wedding photos, are going to have me at this wrong weight. So I decided to lose it." And so the patient went, "Aha, my daughter just told me she's getting married next year. I don't want to be in this size in those forever photos either." So she found her inner motivation. She could see herself in the future at the wedding with future grandkids that she could keep up with, play with, and live a nice long life enjoying. So the inner motivation came forward to her through that conversation with someone else. Now, motivation is one of, we talked about motivation 2 weeks ago, didn't we? Yeah, we did. Motivation is one of the 8 steps of transformation that the author presents in the book. We're going to run through them quickly. Don't panic. 3, I'll give you the first 3, is to understand, number 1, understand our current belief system about everything. Now, that sounds pretty simple, but it's not. Understand our current belief systems about everything. Remember when I mentioned before that we sometimes have limiting beliefs and we have to find them? They're really easy to spot in other people when they're talking to us. Really easy. Not so easy for ourselves. So we really have to listen to our own conversation and notice, I really believe that. I really believe that there's fall allergies and I'm going to get them. I really believe that because my brother has diabetes, that it's in the family and I have to get it too. Oh my gosh, I don't believe that. But things like that we may believe that we don't even realize that we're believing at a deep level. So our belief system, choices. We need to look at choices that support who we are now and who we're becoming. Do the choices I'm making today support who I'm becoming? Am I showing up today in the way that I want to be in my future? And the third is our current identity. Who are we in the world? Our identity. It's been shaped by old actions and choices, right? And we have to question whether those serve us now and where we're going on that growth trajectory that we have. Belief, choices, and identity. Those are the first 3 steps. Once we get through those, the next step is awareness. Awareness. And this is where we get opened up, our minds get opened up to greater possibilities. Just like the patient with losing the weight. She suddenly had that aha moment. She suddenly had that, I'd never thought of it that way moment. And her perspective shifted. Her awareness broadened. She went, it's possible. She did it. I see it right in front of me. I've got an example. I can do it too. She was inspired. She was motivated. Awareness. Where do you get your inspiration for new possibilities? Are you seeing the same people? Are you doing the same thing? Do you go to the same places? Or are you expanding that, making new acquaintances, studying different materials, talking to different people, saying, yes, that let's look at that possibility instead of no way, that can't happen? Where are you spreading and broadening your awareness of what's possible for you in your life? Motivation, we talked about. Step 5. Step 6 is really very much in alignment with the science of mind. It's intention. What are you intending? Remember this? These are our intentions that we set in January. We do this every year. We have a burning bowl. We let go of the past year. We embrace the new year. We're setting our new intentions for that year. What are your intentions? What's your vision of your future life? We embody that vision. We try it on. We get used to it. We begin living from it. And the next thing you know, you're living in it. Step 7. Commitment. Oh my gosh. Commitment, the big C word. Commitment and new actions. The author says we have a lot of intentions and desires, but without taking action, it all becomes an illusion. You may know this in Science of Mind as treat and move your feet. Treat and move your feet. Our brains are the vehicle through which our mind expresses. Our mind is the vehicle through which spirit expresses. So we must take action. Oh God, please bring me the goodie. Please bring peace. Please bring health. I'm going to sit over here and eat bonbons and just know I'm going to be healthy. Right? It doesn't work that way. We treat, we affirm our health, we affirm our wholeness, and then we take inspired action towards that, doing the things that support that. We treat and move our feet. We commit and take new actions. Step 8, transformation. Ta-da! We're done. She says we have learned to evolve from where we were to where we are. We show up differently, and we have created new patterns of thought and ideas about ourselves and what we're capable of. Do you feel stronger once you accomplish a goal? Yeah, you've grown, you've expanded, I did it, yay, I feel good about me. Ready for the next one. Most of us have done this process all of our lives, haven't we? It's the process of growth, is what she's describing. It's the process of transformation and changing ourselves. It's the process of spiritual growth. It's the process of growing in anything that we do. And we recognize the interdependence of mind and body, that the health of one depends on the health of the other. The health of one depends on the health of the other. And when we get all of that, we can begin to then use these 8 steps proactively in our life to change any area of it, to heal any area of it, to transform any area of it. Now, there is one area that the author emphasizes, and she calls it the unhealed traumas of our childhood. Now, many of us may know this as some of Jung's work of the inner child. She uses language like the inner family in her work. And many of us have done work around this, but there still may be some lingering things in the dusty corners of our consciousness that pop up sometimes when we react to something as opposed to responding to it. And then maybe look back and go, what was going on there? What caused me to do that? Those are usually those moments of something triggered us from the outside that reminded us of that time. We may not be conscious of it at all. It's just a reaction, an emotional reaction. And she's got some examples in the book that are very good around this. I thought of it as, when people say they're pushing your buttons or your buttons are being pushed, right? The buttons were installed when we were young, when we were kids, and we were trying to understand in our child mind what was happening around us. There was something happening, there was something said or done, some action or activity, and through either self-soothing or protection, we came up with something that made sense for us. And many times we latch on and lock onto that and hold that throughout our lives. And we respond from that when we sense that same level of that reptilian brain, that lizard brain, senses that same level of threat in our environment. As adults, we go, well, that's just crazy. But it happens, doesn't it? It comes up from that subconscious. It comes up from those areas that we haven't yet addressed. And she talks about this again in the book. One of my ministerial teachers, somebody said in class one day, "You're pushing my buttons today." And she says, "Well, I may be pushing them, but I did not install them, and only you can uninstall them." Only you can uninstall them. And if you think about it, that is very, very true, isn't it? Only we can uninstall those buttons. So we should ask ourselves the next time we react, is this still serving me? Or can I disengage that button to where it doesn't work anymore? Can I create something new? Again, the author calls it inner family, the disenfranchised parts of us that rob us of our access to higher conscious thinking. A story that demonstrates this is from her very own childhood. She was raised in Cuba under Castro's regime until she was a young teen. And during her young childhood time, her family, the country, was rationed for their food. You only got food on certain days. And so her family's process was to ration then, portion control meals for everyone so that they had enough food to stretch until the next ration came. She tells a story of them having steak and cutting it into really small little bite-sized pieces so everybody could get a little bit. And so when 2020 rolled around and the shutdown happened, a lot of people started hoarding food, right? Toilet paper, paper towels, all that kind of stuff. And she didn't do that. She went shopping like normal. She said it was fine. But what she did find herself doing was rationing the meals at home, cutting them way back on their portions. And about a week or two in, she and her husband, who were both of normal weight, began to lose weight. And a few more weeks in, her husband came up and he goes, "I'm down 6 pounds and I'm going to blow away. Can we start getting regular portion meals again?" And she immediately got a stomach ache and got nauseous. And being who she is and what she does, she said, "Aha." And she sat and she went into silence and she listened. And she asked herself, she said, why Am I rationing food? And what she realized is that it was her 7-year-old self, her child self, who was responding physically now with the stomach ache that she had as a little girl when food was short, experiencing food scarcity. So she recognized that. She was able to bring it to light, and she was able to heal that. But what a powerful story and recognition of what happens with that mind-body connection. It's an illuminating example of the power of the mind over the body. We understand this exists, though, don't we? You knew this. You knew this before I started talking, right? The mind-body thing works. You know it's connected. Anybody ever been embarrassed? Cheeks get right red, right? Embarrassment's mental, is it not? This is physical reaction. Sometimes we get nervous and our palms get sweaty. That nervousness is a mental reaction to believing something. Maybe we've got a big public talk and we get nervous. The butterflies in the stomach. That's a physical response to a mental experience. If we get upset, maybe our blood pressure rises. That's a physical result. So all of these things show us and demonstrate to us regularly that our mind and body are totally connected. So when we understand that this relationship exists, is it possible for us to pause like she did and question what's really going on here? What's really going on here? I remember when I first started doing public speaking, I would get butterflies. And I remember thinking, all right, get in formation and do your job. So that they weren't just fluttering around everywhere. So get in formation, we got a job to do. And I don't get them anymore. So we pause, we become curious, we ask ourselves, what's going on? What's going on? I'm enjoying the book. I think it is a wonderful, wonderful exploration into the interdependency between our mind and our body. I think it's a wonderful way to understand in perhaps more current terms the science of mind. You'll see how they marry together very, very much. And it is the expression in her words and the words of Holmes of this triune nature that we are, of the mind, the body, and spirit. We know creation at the universal is idea, thought, spirit, into universal law, into manifestation, just like we know it on planet Earth as the seed, the soil, and the plant being manifested. And so we have within us that same idea of the mind creating in the body, in the form. So we have our Mindful Monday, which is an email that we send out on Monday mornings. It's a recap of our talk and the processes and the notes and things. And if you'd like to sign up for that, you can do so with a QR code, an email, or sign up in the lobby. It comes out on Monday mornings. It's just a recap that you can practice throughout the week to learn to embody these practices and principles. Your practice for this week is curiosity. To become curious about your life. When you react to something or someone, become curious about your why. Whew, why did that make me so angry they cut me off in traffic? Why did that make me so angry that they said that to me? What was I feeling when they said that and I responded this way? Why? Sit and breathe. Practice your centering, we've talked about. And center your mind and body and ask yourself, why am I behaving this way? Be still and listen. And journal any insights that come to you. This mind-body connection is very strong. Very, very strong. We experience it As I said, when we're upset, we experience it. When we're afraid, when we're embarrassed, we have bodily reactions to those emotional things that happen. Is it not possible? Is it not possible that the mind is the key actor in all of our health and wellness and healing that our bodies experience? We'll close with a quote from Ernest Holmes. He says, "The body is the servant of the mind, and the mind is the offspring of pure spirit. The three are really one and should work in unison with each other. This can be done only when the mind becomes aware of the spirit, permitting its flow of harmony, unity, and perfection, a clear passageway. The body will always reflect this inner state of mental poise." And so it is. Questions or comments? I would love to hear from you today. Thanks, Joan. No? Nothing? You never throw things out.
I never talk.
You don't.
That's why I wrote my book, The Unconscious Authority. When I was doing regressive hypnosis, I couldn't believe all the challenges people had and how it was all based on old history and old childhood trauma. Not necessarily trauma, just childhood situations. And my instructor always said, we live in the light of our reflected past.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that always made a lot of sense. And with regression, you get back to that cause and you correct it at a subconscious level. And by correcting it at a subconscious level, it's not even there anymore. It's like smokers would say, what do I do with my hands? Because they're thinking, oh, I have, I do this all the time when I'm not a smoker. I talk with my hands, right? So
You're Italian.
Yeah, I'm Italian. So I think the key here is to really look at things at a deeper level, because consciously we kind of make excuses. That was my behavior, that was my activity, that was my response because, and then you build a case around that, as opposed to really stepping back and saying, why did I have that ab reaction to such a simple little situation in life? So get my book.
Available in the bookstore today, in the lobby. Thank you, Joe. Colette.
Along those lines, so I have been doing this a lot in the last couple of weeks because things have been coming up. And so I do look at the story. And so it's like, oh, that makes sense. That's why this is happening. And so I can't get past that. Tell me how to get past that story.
He'll take you back in regression and do that. But get past the story. Well, you tell the story, you write the story, you go through the story, you keep looking at the story from your adult mind, from who you are and who you've become today, until you can look at the story and go, yeah, I made that decision when I was X. I'm no longer X. I'm Y squared times 10. That's not true of me anymore. This is who I am today. Rewrite the story. Rewrite it. New perspective. Thank you, Colette. Anyone else? Did you raise your hand? No. Okay. Oh, well, just go for it.
The best time to shift your consciousness related to something at a subconscious level is prior to drifting off to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can use all levels of consciousness, what's it look like? What's it sound like? What's it smell like? What's it feel like? How's the touch? Whatever. And you process through those feelings as to what you desire versus what's been happening. Because if you can recognize the challenge, then it's easy to say, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. What's the opposite of that? And go through all of those prior to drifting off to sleep. Because whatever is in your mind as you drift off to sleep is repeated in your subconscious mind all night long. So if you ever had an early flight and you had to be up at 5 o'clock to get to the airport, you set the alarm, and all night you're thinking, did I do everything? Did I do, or not all night, but before you're falling asleep, did I do this? Did I do that? Did I put gas in the car? Did I call Uber? Did I stop my mail. And you're going through all that, and you have trouble falling asleep. Then finally you fall asleep, and then 5 minutes till 5, you wake up automatically.
Mhm.
It's because the subconscious recognized the importance of that flight. So that's a good process to do as you drift off to sleep, to eradicate this stuff without a lot of consciousness. You do it unconsciously.
All right. Victoria. Well, I just wanted to share that in 2006, my doctor called and said, your tests show you have breast cancer. And I said, okay, thank you. And so in the morning, I immediately thought, okay, being in Science of Mind, where am I out of harmony with my belief system? Where am I kind of goofy? Because I know I don't have cancer. This is just a warning to get yourself in alignment. And so I started immediately, several times a day, saying, I'm perfectly healthy. Thank you so much for this message. I'm going to be fine. So my doctor called in the morning and she said, did you hear what I said? And I said, yes, I did. She said, you need to see a surgeon right away. I said, okay. So I saw the surgeon. A couple weeks later, had surgery. And I continued this whole thing. This is not true. I'm doing what you want me to do, but this is not true of me. I now understand how I need to be in this world. And so they did the surgery. And so then a few days later, they called and said, there's no cancer in any of this. And I thought, oh, how usual. Of course I don't. It's all good. So. Excellent. Good story. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. One more. Anybody else? All right. Thank you, everyone, for those shares. And we will move to prayer. All right. Would you join me in prayer? As we recognize that there is only one infinite presence in life, that is God. One mind. And that mind is our mind. And we unite in the wholeness of that one mind, knowing that it is ever accessible to us at those higher levels of consciousness, where we are united in it at all times. We can access it at any time. And I recognize this unity in, through, and as each of us here today. And so I speak my word for and about us, knowing the wholeness that exists in this room, those watching online, and around our planet. No matter the appearances, we judge not by appearances, we judge by truth. And the truth is that we are all whole, we are all one. I know that each of us is a blessing to each other, to our families, to our community, as we bring forth these principles just in our basic conversation with each other. We live and walk and talk this thing called Science of Mind, this thing called universal truth. We're examples of wholeness. We're examples of possibility. We help expand the awareness of others of the possibilities that surround them, continuously broadening and expanding our own awareness and that of others. And for this, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this teaching. I'm grateful for the power that it has in my life and the life of those in this room and beyond. I'm grateful for this truth as it moves in and through us. And today, I know for anyone that has anything on their heart for which they seek prayer, that as they speak that word silently in their own minds and their own hearts, we embrace them in this oneness, this consciousness, knowing for them the complete and total manifestation of this prayer that they speak, knowing that it is made whole and perfect and revealed to them right here, right now. And it is with a grateful heart, filled with joy and thanksgiving, that I release this into the action and activity of law, knowing that it is done and it is so. And we affirm this truth together by saying, and so it is.